companions, the martyrs of Japan. In 1549, St. Francis Xavier, Father Cosme de Torres, Jesuit priest, and Father John Fernandez arrived in Kavookjian, Japan from Spain with the hope of bringing Catholicism to Japan. St. Francis Xavier visited the shogun, the local general, and asked for permission to build the first Catholic mission in Japan. The shogun agreed in hopes of creating a trade relationship with Europe. The shogun and the imperial government at first supported the Catholic mission and the missionaries, thinking that they would reduce the power of the Buddhist monks and help trade with Spain and Portugal. However, the government tended to be wary of colonialism. The government increasingly saw Catholicism as a threat and started persecuting Catholics. Eventually, Christianity was banned, and those Japanese who refused to abandon their faith were killed. On February 5th of 1597, 26 Catholics, 4 Spaniards, 1 Mexican, and 1 Indian, all of whom were Franciscan missionaries, 3 Japanese Jesuits, and 17 Japanese laymen, including 3 young boys, who were all members of the Third Order of St. Francis, were executed by crucifixion in Nagasaki on the orders of the shogun. These individuals were raised on crosses and then pierced through with spears. Persecution continued sporadically, breaking out again in 1613 and 1630. Again in 1632, 55 Catholics were martyred in Nagasaki in what became known as the Great Martyrdom. At this time, Catholicism was officially outlawed. The church remained without clergy and without theological teaching until the arrival of Western missionaries in the 19th century. While there were many more martyrs, the first 26 missionary and convert martyrs came to be especially revered, the most celebrated of whom was Paul Miki. He had been born into a wealthy Japanese family. He was educated by the Jesuits, joining the Society of Jesus, and becoming a well-known and successful preacher, gaining numerous converts to Catholicism. Miki was arrested and jailed with his fellow Catholics, who were later forced to march 600 miles from Kyoto to Nagasaki, all the while singing hymns. On arriving in Nagasaki, which today is the largest Catholic population in Japan, Miki had his chest pierced with a lance while tied to a cross on February 5th, 1597. He preached his last sermon from the cross, and it is maintained that he forgave his executioners, stating that he himself was Japanese. In the aftermath of the martyrs' deaths, any remaining Christians were forced to publicly renounce their faith. Even so, many continued practicing Christianity in secret, in modern times becoming known as the hidden Christians. When missionaries returned to Japan in the 1860s, at first they found no trace of the faith. But after establishing themselves, they found that thousands of Christians lived around Nagasaki and that they had secretly preserved the faith. Martyrs of Japan were canonized by the Church in 1862 by Pope Pius IX. Today, Christians number less than 2% of the Japanese population, but the practice of the faith